We all need to have a role to get off the chair and get up and help others. So, and I've seen that. Mr. Gülen has gotten off the chair and helped people around the world with the movement. I've seen this in politics, in sports teams. Well, my name is Steve Young. I'm the MLA for Edmonton-Riverview. Been a member of the Legislative Assembly for about 2.5 years. Before that, I was a policeman. I was a policeman for about 18 years before that in Edmonton, and so decided to get involved in politics and do public service in a different way. It wasn't all of a sudden. I met folks like yourself and people at IDI and at the school, and also had an opportunity to go to Turkey and see, go on a study tour and see some of the results of the Hizmet movement and the people that were working in it. It wasn't all of a sudden. It wasn't I read a introduction paper or book. It was through the experiences and seeing the schools and the hospitals and the people in Turkey and the people that were involved, and the ones that are involved here in Edmonton as well. As I said, as a former policeman, I'm more about evidence rather than allegations or people telling me how good it is or how bad it is. I like to see what are the results and what is the evidence. So the evidence I saw is good people trying to do good things and trying to reach out of their own comfort zone or their own communities and help other communities. This school here in Edmonton has the influence of that, has the result of that, as well as in other countries. And what I saw is people working hard in Turkey, trying to do what's better for all, to help everyone. So that's my overall impression, is people trying to reach outside of their community and help others and make it do good things for everyone. The head of any kind of organization or group really does one thing, and I've seen this in politics, I've seen this in sports teams, and I see it in corporations, is the leader of, or the head of an organization sets the culture and the tone for an organization. It really defines and reaffirms what are the principles of that organization on how decisions are made. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we do know the principles that we're going to adhere to and use to make those decisions. And while I've never met Mr. Gülen, I can see the results of that, and I can certainly know him by those principles I've seen articulated and manifest itself through decisions that have been made by the organization, how they conduct themselves, where they choose to put their efforts in research institutions, establishing places to support children around based on those principles. So I've never met him. I'd like to. I'm sure he's a wonderful man, but I am very impressed by the results of the principles that he is the steward of. In every organization, there's going to be a critic. We as politicians, we're well aware that people are going to criticize, and criticism is good. It is part of the debate. But if you don't want to be criticized, then the only way to do that is you don't do anything, you don't say anything, and you don't try and change anything. And then you won't get criticized. If you never do anything, you won't get criticized. Well, effective leaders are trying to change things. And they're trying to change things for the better. And there's going to be critics. And so that's okay, it's expected. but it's those principles that you adhere to as you move through those change process and do the good works that we've seen the Hizmet movement do. And I mentioned it before, I think the biggest thing is where we run the biggest risk is when we only look inside ourselves. We become siloed, and we don't, inside our own community. And we create an environment in that way where it's us versus them. Whether it's the north end of the city versus the south end of the city, this city versus that city, this province versus that province, this country versus that country, or this religion versus that religion. I mean, what I've seen the biggest contribution is where we can be ourselves, but we can also share. And when we share and we open up our doors and see outside across the street and across the country, and from a mosque to a synagogue to a church to whatever, then I think we understand people. We can come together and we can all benefit from other people's perspective and the cultural, richness that can be brought to bear for everyone. And so I was a little concerned about when I was planning to go over to Turkey, but when I got there I realized, and I knew I would, but that that does not represent what we see. The window to Turkey is more than just the bad scene on a newspaper. It's about the people there, the group that is part of the Hizmet movement, and Fethullah Gulen, who is creating those principles and direction for that organization to help people connect with other people, to build efforts and support within Turkey and other parts of the world is what I like to see as effective use of power. And power is many different things. Sometimes power is a title. Sometimes it's because you're the strongest guy. Sometimes it's because people follow you and you're a leader then. And using your power to help bring people up. And so when I see Islam and I see different versions, there's a whole spectrum of what some people are using their power to push people down, and other people are using their power to bring people up. And those extremes of where they try and put people down and use Islam as a tool to secure their power concerns me. It concerns me for Christians who do the same thing, and it concerns me for any religion that uses power to push people down rather than to bring them up, because behind that is usually a person. It has nothing to do with Islam. It has to do with that person trying to just control people. I'm glad I had the experience to see the results and see the people, because it gave me a genuine, authentic impression of what Islam is, and not just the extreme bad stuff that we see in the newspapers or you don't show birthday parties and families celebrating, sharing on the news. You see riots and bombs and those type of things in the news. And I saw this, as a policeman, I had to be careful of this, because I only got invited to bad things. When things went bad, the police were called and we show up. They didn't invite us to celebrations. So in my head, I had to be careful not to think poorly that everybody is fighting, because that's just my experience. We're all a product of our experience. And so to have that experience of being able to meet people in Edmonton, part of the Hizmet movement, and who've introduced me to the principles and values of Fethullah Gulen, and to see what is happening in Turkey and how they've been trying to make those positive changes within their beliefs, within Islam, within the Hizmet movement, and using their power to bring people up. That's been really reassuring, and we try to do it here. We all need to have a role to get off the chair and get up and help others. So, and I've seen that. Mr. Gülen has gotten off the chair and helped people around the world with the movement. Education is really the future. And when you throw a bunch of little kids in a room to play, they don't fight, other than fighting over their toy like little kids do. But they don't fight over beliefs. They don't fight over religion or land or this. And so they just learn to naturally play. And so when the Hizmet movement is allowing kids from different places to learn, which is empowering, and grow and create that center that's safe and learning that empowers people. We know that in many places you send a kid to school and they come home and then they teach their parents, because their parents may not have had that benefit because of poverty or war. And so it goes beyond just the children, it goes to the family. And family and education helps you read, understand, help you in business, and helps you move on to do everything from being a doctor to being a farmer. And so we've seen in different countries where when certain places are threatened, they shut down the schools because they don't want people to know. They're not open. Their power is about in the weapons they carry, not in the belief system they are stewarding. And so the focus on education and creating opportunities for children and learning and community are so critical. I think it's all of our responsibility to pay it forward for everybody, and for disasters happen, and we always need to be able to respond to disasters, but we also need to invest in making sure that disasters don't happen or they're less. And disasters aren't limited to, this country or that. They happen everywhere. They happened in Alberta 2 years ago with the massive flood. They just happened in New York, in Buffalo, and how many people died. And they're going to happen again when all the snow melts, and there's going to be flooding and rivers, and there's going to be forest fires and earthquakes. And so I think we as a planet and we need to contribute to that. What the Hizmet movement did is they organized that. They said, this isn't just an idea. This isn't, I'm willing to pick a shovel up when it happens. They organized around that idea. They organized people, and they prepared and planned, and they put in a sophisticated organization so that when it does happen, they can respond way more effectively than just you and me picking up a shovel, right? There's people you get a lot of, it's a vehicle for people to help and share. So it's fantastic. I've seen the facility, I've seen the preparation, and the outpouring of goodwill through their work. So I think that what they're saying is me. I'll do it. I'll step up. And a lot of people will say, somebody should do something about that. We should really get somebody to respond to that disaster. Well, I think as an organization, the Hizmet movement has created an organization that says, we'll step up. I'm going to participate. I'm going to be a leader in that school. I'm going to be a leader in this emergency organization. I'm going to be a leader in connecting my community. It's a positive obligation that people have said, I will take on that and be a leader. Not say, hey, you should do that, or you should do that. And it says, I'll do it, okay? And then that's what I see that has happened in the areas that the movement has participated in.
I really got the impression that Hizmet had a very subtle but strong effect on people. That it was part of the opening up of that society, the international opening up of that society.
So Hizmet movement is tremendously valuable, especially in North America and perhaps throughout Europe and all the world, as representing Islam as a religion with a strong spiritual commitment, but not one which condemns people whose spiritual connections or non-spiritual connections are otherwise.